Hello everyone, and welcome to my first video covering a game that's not called Skyrim. Today's topic will be ranking all of the bosses in Dark Souls 3 from worst to best. With that out of the way, let's get started. Starting off the video at the number 25 spot, I've placed the Ancient Wyvern. Now why is the Ancient Wyvern so low in this list, you might ask? Mainly because it's an unfun gimmick boss that once you learn how to beat it, it becomes more of an obstacle than an actual boss fight. I think out of all the bosses in possibly even the Soul series, aside from maybe the Beta Chaos, this is the least boss fight. You can technically sit there and pummel its legs for a little while, but that's incredibly difficult, it's irritating, it's time consuming, and it's a waste of everything, really. In second to last place, I think High Lord Wolnir fits here pretty well. Now, unlike the last boss, I do actually have a couple good things to say about High Lord Wolnir. I think his design is really cool. I like that he's a jump scare in a Dark Souls game, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's it. So, just kind of like the last boss we talked about, the Ancient Wyvern, this guy is also a gimmick boss. You run around, and your goal is to break these bracelets on his skeletal arms, and by breaking 3 bracelets, it sucks him into the abyss, and you win. Now, technically you can sit there, and you can hit everything but his bracelets, but you'll probably die, you will hate your life, it's just not a good time. Number 23. Champion's Gravetender, Great Wolf. This is my personal least favorite boss in the entire game. Now I know there's people out there that actually like this boss, and that is the only reason I didn't put this thing in last place. It's an unfun, super uncreative boss that doesn't have a good reward, it's glitchy, it's dumb. I mean, is there anything good I have to say about it? I guess the theme's pretty cool, but I mean, as far as Dark Souls 3 OSTs go, it's like kind of mid-tier. The wolf has a kind of cool second phase. I'm grasping at straws here, I really am. Next on the list is my buddy Curse Rod of Greatwood, and you're not going to believe this, he's another gimmick boss. Unlike the last 2 gimmick bosses, it's not like you target a specific area that kills them. I'm just kidding, that's exactly what you do. Look for the weird pus bubbles on them, the balls I guess. You go over, you smack them with a sword a couple times, they burst, it's really gross. Do that enough, the tree will stand up, slam the ground, and drop you into second phase. And then you rinse and repeat. It's a pretty simple fight, not too difficult. He does look kind of cool, and well, his theme also sucks. It's probably the worst in the entire game. But I don't think he's an absolutely horrific boss, unlike the last couple. Coming in at number 21, the boss you guys probably expected to be in last place takes this spot, the Deacons of the Deep. I personally don't actually hate the Deacons, I kind of like them. I think that every boss from this point forward has more positives about them than negatives. The Deacons are like if you took Prowling Magus and his congregation from Dark Souls 2 and made them better in every single way. They have a better theme, they look cooler, there's more cohesion, there's that weird build-up attack where all the Deacons kind of summon the curse and it can mess you up if you're not careful, if you don't knock the fight out pretty quickly. So it's almost got a timer on it, which I think actually is good in this situation. Now, obviously, there's some downsides as well. For example, the boss, like, there's not a singular entity, it's a bunch of enemies in a room. A lot of people don't really like that. It's not particularly difficult, it's actually incredibly easy. You throw an alluring skull and you just win. But the mechanic of going around and hitting the fiery, glowy dudes to win, I think it's cool. If I were to describe the Crystal Sage in one word, that word would probably be forgettable. The Crystal Sage, by all means, is not a bad fight, it's just not very memorable. He or she, I'm not really sure which, just kind of floats around, shoots some magic at you, teleports into the floor, pops back up. And the only cool thing about the fight is in second phase, when the Crystal Sage copies itself and makes a ton of clones. And you can kind of tell which one's real by looking at the purple crystals, while all the clones use blue crystals. The boss does a lot of damage for an early game boss, but also has a really weak health pool, so that kind of balances it out. The theme, or the OST, whatever you want to call it, is not very good. Yeah, Crystal Sage is just kind of a mid-boss. Here we are at number 19, and we already have our first Lord of Cinder, Aldrich the Devourer of Gods. With a name like that, you'd think he'd be pretty high on the list, that's a pretty badass name. However, he's just kind of disappointing, and I think that's the word that sums him up, as disappointing. Aldrich, when shown in the intro cutscene of the game, is this giant mass of darkness and like this blob that just swallows everything. And when you go to fight him, sure, there's blobs, but you don't actually fight the blob, you fight the body of one of the gods that he's eating. And obviously I bet From Software just didn't know how to make you fight a room full of slime, which kind of makes sense. But on the same token, they also wanted to make a reference to a Dark Souls 1 character, that being Gwendolyn. So it just kind of ended up being a half-assed, kind of okay-ish boss fight with some cool magic mechanics and a reused theme. The number 18 spot goes to possibly the most unique boss in the entire game, Half-Light, Spears of the Church. Now with that in mind, you might be wondering, why are they so low? Well, Half-Light is an NPC boss fight that happens when you are not online. It's an okay, like, middle-of-the-road NPC fight. It's a little annoying, nothing special, not very memorable. But if you're online, people can join the Spears of the Church Covenant and literally play as the boss, which is a really cool concept, but it leads to the fight being very inconsistent. If people have bad internet, you're gonna have a bad time. If you have bad internet, you're gonna have a bad time. If someone's sweaty, it might be impossible to beat this boss fight. If someone's cheating like you're on PC, it's impossible to beat the boss fight. If someone's terrible, you're gonna have the easiest boss fight of your life. You just never know. And because of that, I can't put the fight too high. Oh, and it's worth mentioning, people are gonna bring up Dark Souls 2 Mirror Knight, or whatever the hell his name is. I don't count him. Dark Souls 2 sucks. Don't at me. You will never get me to play that game, ever. Unless, actually, if this video gets 10,000 likes, I'll consider playing Dark Souls 2. Another kind of middle-of-the-road boss, Old Demon King, is probably the most forgotten boss. I don't think he's the most forgettable, but I think he's the one that everyone in the community just kind of forgets exists. Which is sad, because he doesn't deserve that. He's a pretty cool-looking boss. He has pretty decent mechanics. His theme's okay. He's probably the definition of just an boss, and because of that, people forget about him, but I think he deserves more love than he gets. Number 16, Eudix Gundyr. Now, I might be personally biased towards this boss because he was the first boss that I'd ever fought in the entirety of Souls. I think he is the best tutorial boss ever made. So why is he not higher? He's a tutorial boss. He's incredibly simple. His only reason to exist is to teach you how to play the game. If you can't beat him, guess what? You're not going to play the rest of the game. What else is kind of cool about him? I think his design's really cool. He introduces the concept of second phases with a fantastic, shocking second phase. His theme is amazing for a first tutorial boss guy. I mean, I have nothing but good things to say about him except the fact that he's easy, but he's also meant to be easy. Inching closer to the halfway mark, we have the second boss of the game, Vort of the Boreal Valley. Now, Vort does a lot of what Eudix Gundyr does, but just kind of furthers it. He's your first real challenge in the game. I'm not saying he's difficult, because he's really not, especially for experienced Souls players, but he's got a really cool design. He's the first cutscene that's boss-based, which is really cool. He introduces a new type of damage, frost damage. His theme is incredibly iconic. Whether, I don't know, we'll see because of copyright and all that fun stuff, but I might put in a snippet of it. I guarantee you, even if you've never played the games before, you've heard that theme before. It's unbelievably iconic. It's in memes. It's everywhere. The 14th spot goes to Osiris, the Consumed King, former, or I guess technically current king of Lothric. Osiris, while being an okay boss with a pretty cool cutscene, is storyline-wise one of my favorite characters in the entire game. He turned himself from a human into a dragon in order to gain their power, but unfortunately he got the same, I guess we'll say, debuff as Seath the Scaleless from Dark Souls 1 did. He did not gain their immortality and was left scaleless. However, he does get access to their magic. It also probably drove him mad, we don't know. Either way, he's a cool boss. The cutscene's really creepy. You should look up some of the cut content on this guy. I mean, it's a whole rabbit hole. I highly recommend you look into it. I'm gonna go ahead and call this the halfway mark. We're at number 13, Dancer of the Boreal Valley. Dancer, similar to Vort and the 3 Outrider Knights of the Boreal Valley, which are mini-bosses in the game, are 5 soldiers who were tricked or otherwise enslaved to a boss we'll talk about later on in the game. He's basically the big bad guy that's manipulating everything behind the scenes, but you wouldn't guess it from the gameplay. Like I said, we'll get to him later, but going back to Dancer, she's another pretty creepy boss with a really cool theme. Sounds very different from most of the others. It's more somber and ambient. The actual fight itself is a lot of fun. I think it's, it's semi-memorable. Cancer's design is really unique. She's one of the only female bosses in the game. I think that sums it up pretty well. Dragon Slayer armor is one of 2 bosses that technically appears twice in the game. You see him once at this point, and once as a mini-boss later on in the Ring City DLC. Now at this current point in time, Dragon Slayer armor is just that. It's a suit of armor possessed by magic and some weird butterfly dudes. I don't know, the story is confusing. You gotta watch a Vadi Vidya video for that to figure it out. But the fight itself's pretty cool. He's kind of a giant turtle. His shield's pretty badass. His second phase is okay. His theme's really cool. I have a couple friends that really like this boss. I think he's alright. I think this is a good spot for him. Just outside the top 10, we have another Lord of Cinder, Yorm the Giant. I love Yorm the Giant. He's one of my favorite bosses in the entire game. Obviously, he's in the second half, but I mean, I would put him higher if it weren't for the fact that he's another gimmick boss. Now, what makes this gimmick boss different from this other gimmick boss? I think a lot of it has to do with his story is really cool. The optional cutscene with the Secret of Katarina questline is really cool. I think the way they set his entire fight up is cool. He's badass looking. His theme is unbelievable. And you technically could sit there and chip away at his health bar. I've done it once before. It took a really long time, but it was a lot of fun. Unlike the other gimmick bosses where it's just not fun. This guy's fun all around, whether you use the gimmick or you don't. And I won't spoil the gimmick. Well, actually, the gameplay will. So that kind of makes it irrelevant, but whatever. Lots of good things to say about Yorm. I think he deserves this spot. If you guys couldn't tell by now, I'm getting pretty tired. It's late at night when I'm recording this. I'm also editing at the exact same time, so I hope this comes out good, but honestly, no promises. Number 10, I have the Demon Prince / the Demon in Pain Demon from Below. The Demon Prince is a pretty cool fight overall. I don't personally like them a ton, but a lot of people think they're like the best, or at least one of the best, and because of that, I put them pretty high. You got a cool theme. It's a tough fight. You're going to have to sit there and you're going to be fighting for a long time to get the victory, which makes it feel really earned, which is great. The mechanics are really cool. Depending on which mini demon you kill first, it decides which major ability the big demon has, the Demon Prince has. They're also mentioned earlier in the story, one of the other bosses had previously killed the Demon Prince. It's pretty cool. I told you guys I'd come back to this one. Coming in at number 9, I have Pontiff Sullivan. Now, Pontiff is essentially the big bad of the entire game, which is weird because he ends up being the middle boss with literally no cutscene, but he orchestrated almost every single evil thing that happened in the entire game. From creating Dancer and Vort and 3 mini-bosses, to causing Aldrich to eat the gods and usurp the throne for himself, he's behind pretty much everything that's going wrong with the world in Dark Souls 3. Other than that, the gameplay for the boss fight, absolutely fantastic. Definitely, probably, well, more than likely, the toughest boss of the early game for most people. I didn't have a ton of trouble with him, but most people usually do. Then again, I had trouble with Aldrich, and most people usually don't. It all works out. He's a really cool-looking boss. He's got some badass swords. When you take his soul, you can get those swords. It's just a cool fight overall. At the number 8 spot, Champion Gundyr. Now, Champion Gundyr is probably in my personal top 5 bosses, but I'm trying to take into account my biases and what other people would think. And Champ Gundyr, while absolutely being a top 10 boss, I don't think most people would consider him a top 5 boss. He's a ton of fun to fight. He's a good spin on the tutorial boss, actually. Champion Gundyr is the past version of the tutorial boss, so technically you travel back in time and kill Champ Gundyr, which causes him to turn into Udix Gundyr. It's pretty cool. I've been saying that a lot this video. But basically, instead of being possessed by this black demon pus of man thing, instead, he's in his full power, you fight him at full strength, and his second phase is literally just him trying. His attacks get faster, he uses his whole body to fight you, his fists, his legs, his shoulder. He's just a very versatile boss that feels like he's going absolutely all out, and it's just 2 warriors butting heads and seeing who's stronger. This next boss is absolutely fantastic. It almost pains me to put them at the number 7 spot, but because of how early they are in the game, I just feel like I have to. The Abyss Watchers, the first Lord of Cinder you ever come across, are absolutely, without a doubt, the best boss in the early game. They're difficult, but they're fair. They're a fantastic way to teach you how to play the rest of the game. They look badass, their weapons are cool, they take after Artorias, who's another really cool boss from Dark Souls 1. Their theme is great. I genuinely have nothing but good things to say about them, and I really wanted to put them higher, but I just couldn't because of their low health pool. Just barely, I mean just barely missing the top 5, Nameless King. Nameless King is a badass boss, and I've been saying that a lot too, but I really do mean it. He's the last of the gods by the time you encounter him. He's the son of Gwyn, who's essentially Zeus in the Dark Souls pantheon, which would make him basically Ares. He's the god of war. He betrayed his father to join the dragons, which caused him to exile him back in Dark Souls before the events of Dark Souls 1. His actual boss fight is hailed as one of the most difficult ones in the entire game. His design is amazing. His attacks are badass. He rides a dragon. I mean, who else can say that? I genuinely, my mind is blown every time I fight that boss, and the first time I fought him, it was unbelievable. I was genuinely torn when trying to figure out if I wanted to put Nameless King or these guys at the number 5 spot. Eventually, I decided on these guys, the twin princes, Lothric and Lorien. Lothric and Lorien is an incredibly unique fight, even more so than most of the other ones in this game. Lothric and Lorien are two twin brothers who have severe disabilities and also are not really that evil. And depending on the ending you pick in the game, you end up doing what they wanted to do anyways. So it really puts your sense of morality in question. Are you really fighting on the right side? Are you really the good guy? Aside from that, their magical abilities like teleportation, fire, and everything else really make the fight quite interesting while Lorien's swinging a sword at you. Even though he can't walk, the fact he can teleport more than makes up for it, and it's a really fun fight. Their theme, perfectly tragic, and they're a great almost conclusion to the game. Our 4th place boss, Sister Frida and Father Ariendel, is the first boss to conclude one of the DLCs or the main game. It's one of the 3 final bosses. Now, because of this, it's one of the only bosses, but those other 2 excluded, that have 3 or more phases. Now, as the gameplay will demonstrate, there are 3 phases in this boss, which makes it really unique, and it also has a fake out, which is pretty cool. First time I fought this boss, I was really annoyed, and honestly, if I'm being real, this is one of the toughest bosses in the entire game. When I first started playing, this boss whooped me more than any other boss in the game except for one, and we'll get to them later. It's a really cool fight. The choreography is fantastic, the theme is fantastic. I personally preferred the other 3 bosses after this. Obviously, it's my list, but still a very solid fight. At the number 3 spot, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Soul of Cinder, the final Lord of Cinder on this list, and the final boss of the actual game. Now, Soul of Cinder is the physical embodiment of every single person that has ever linked the First Flame and restarted it, from Gwyn to the Chosen Undead to all the Lords of Cinder you fought in this game. And the entire plot of the game is whether you want to become a Lord of Cinder or not. The fight itself, absolutely breathtaking. The environment around it, the crumbling kingdom, the sun slowly dying, the flower petals and the swords of all the past battles, it's so cool. The boss has not 1, not 2, not 3, not even 4, but 5 separate phases. A magic one, a sword one, a spear one, a scimitar one, and then Gwyn. You literally just fight Gwyn again. It's the coolest thing ever. The theme's absolutely fantastic. Although I guess technically not the coolest thing ever because there's 2 bosses ahead of this boss. I have a real love-hate relationship with the number 2 spot. Coming in at number 2, I have Dark Eater Midir. Now this boss whooped me to Timbuktu and back more times than I'd like to admit. It's the only boss that's probably killed me more than 20 times in one playthrough. I mean, it took me forever to finally beat Midir. I genuinely just couldn't figure it out. It hits so much health, it's so much damage. But once I finally did, the feeling you get when you beat a boss like that is the reason you play these kinds of games. I mean, unbelievable. Super fun boss, has probably one of, if not the best designs in the entire game. He's the coolest dragon I've ever fought in any of the Soulsborne games or any game in general. That's including Skyrim, that's including Elden Ring, I mean, all of them. Super cool boss. Like, the fact you have to fight him on the bridge and he's kind of stalking you throughout the entire DLC is just so cool. We've finally reached the number 1 spot, and I bet you all know who was going to be here. You all knew from the beginning who this boss was going to be. It's Slave Knight Gale. I mean, who else would it be? Slave Knight Gale is genuinely the best Dark Souls / Soulsborne boss ever. I think he might even be one of the, if not the best boss fight in all of gaming history. Like, there's so much to talk about with him. The theme is fantastic. It's 3 incredibly fun phases. The boss fight is visually stunning. His abilities are perfectly choreographed. It's a fun fight. It's a long fight. And my only complaint is I wish it was longer. I really do. The arena is unbelievable. The backdrop, the story leading up to it, the fact that you two are literally the last two beings in existence fighting over what's literally a bunch of nothingness, fighting over the Dark Soul, the name drop of the entire series, the machine gun crossbow, the lightning. I mean, it's just. It's perfection, it really is. I don't think that FromSoft will ever be able to make a boss fight better than Slave Knight Gale. I don't think anybody ever will. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far, I truly appreciate it. Please make sure to like and subscribe so you can see more content like this. Any support really helps. It'll help me get better at editing. I can get access to better equipment. I can make better videos for you guys. But yeah, once again, thanks and have a good rest of your day.